when it comes to waking up every day and coming and leading from your heart, what truly makes your heart sing and speak out loud every day? What is it
Okay.
today in your life today?
Yeah, I mean, what really makes my heart sing is when I'm with my three kids. I have older children now. My oldest just graduated from college. My middle is a senior in college, and my youngest is in high school. And the two older ones play college sports or still play college sports, and so their time. My son plays high school sports, so it's like the time that we all have as a unit of five is so limited that when we are all together under the same roof, my heart is full, my heart is singing, I am so happy. And it's been a hard transition for me because every time it doesn't happen as often as I'd like. And I think, like, from a professional perspective, I think it's what has been so gratifying for me and making my heart sing is the team that we've built. My husband and I are the founders of the company that we've built around us. It's like, and just making their lives better and happy, even though people associate work with not being happy. And it's like, we are all about making our team really happy and having them grow professionally, having them grow personally. So, I love being with my immediate family of five and my extended family. I come from a very close family net, both my husband's side and my own side. But having my kids with me under the same roof, or all of us being on vacation together, or just being together, that makes my heart sing. And just professionally, just being, seeing what's happened with our team and how they're just the most incredible people. I can honestly say I love every one of them. And I just love what we've built together, as an organization. So
I love that. And I want to touch 100% on how you lead your team later on, to not just personally, but also business wise. So I am interested in that.
yeah.
What I want to know is a little bit the backstory of Tina and why, and I can tell you totally love your product and you obviously have passion for it. And I think that's where it starts, right? Why did you get into this business and when was it?
Yeah, well, I started out as an attorney. I was in litigation for many years, and just based on a desire to spend more time at home with my kids, I decided to go into a more corporate setting as an attorney. So I went into the pharmaceutical business with my husband and my parents. And so they had a family pharmaceutical business. And so I was their general counsel, and I was able to have a way better work-life balance at the time. And I thought this was great. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to be helping people, with health and wellness, and this is wonderful. And, it wasn't long after being in the pharmaceutical world, I realized that there were so many abuses in the industry, and people weren't really getting better in it. And I read a lot of Wayne Dyer, Norman Vincent Peale. I'm a very deep thinker, and my husband and I both are deep thinkers, and we were like, we're not doing our life's work. I mean, everything we read is like, you need to do your life's work. You need to do something every day that, like, makes your heart sing, like you said. And
Yeah.
we just said, we're not doing it. And so we were like, we need to get out of this. We saw so many abuses. One of the examples I always talk about is that when we won this big cholesterol drug, a bid for this cholesterol drug at this big hospital system, and one of the largest hospital systems in the whole country. And we were all excited. This is great for business. And then the pharmaceutical rep came into our office and said, oh my God, this is great. But you know what my job is now? My job now is to go to every cardiologist in this hospital system and have them lower the number that they prescribe the cholesterol meds. I mean, he blatantly said that to us. And we were like, oh my God, you're prescribing these medicines, like, just to get more business. And it wasn't about making people feel better. It was just about, selling more of the product. And we were like surprised, but then a part of us started realizing we saw this with our own family members. And we had this one aunt who started on one pharmaceutical, and the next thing you know, she was, within a few months, she was on a dozen different pharmaceutical medicines, and she was not getting any better. And so we're like, this is not, we felt that pharmaceuticals, there's a place for them. There's a place for them when emergency medicine type situations. And, there are life-saving pharmaceuticals out there, of course, and I never dispute that. But we did see the abuses with chronic conditions, and we just didn't feel that it's a place to treat chronic conditions, that we need to go focus more on, just prevention, focus on nutrition, focus on, missing nutrients and things like that. So through that, it wasn't that easy. It wasn't like we snapped our fingers, but after a lot of work, a lot of research, and through a lot of prayer and meditation, we were able to license the exclusive strains of these particular probiotic strains that nobody in this country had licensed before, had anything similar. It was a completely different approach to probiotics. So we launched our product from there.
Wow. That's an incredible story. And you said, you used the word meditation, and this being a mindfulness topic podcast, I wanted to touch more on that. What is your meditation? What did it look like then, to manifest what you needed to get done? And what does it look like now, your practice?
So I've done the transcendental meditation, but then sometimes I also do just where I sit down and I just, think of a constant thought all the time, like the same like word or thought or whatever it is that I'm trying to manifest, or just even repeating. That's not really meditation. Like the meditation, I do a lot to just be calm and focus on whatever it is that we're trying to focus on. A lot of it was affirmations also. We did a lot of affirmations and just, writing down what I wanted and asking the universe for it and just saying it every day. And it's amazing how powerful that is. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. I've read that a lot, and I understand that. It kind of just, it puts you in just the right mindset. So when you make decisions and when you're doing activities, you have that subconsciously built in you, so that the universe can speak and answer you back when you're doing stuff. So I totally understand that, and that's awesome. I'm glad that's helped get you to where you are today.
Yeah,
And you said, what's that?
it's so funny because I grew up with a father who would say these things all the time. And I'm
No
like,
way.
I know. And it's like, he was so ahead of his time. It's unbelievable.
Wow.
He's the one who introduced me to Wayne Dyer, Norman Vincent Peale. And he would always say all these great things to me, like the universe is listening to you, and if I would say, oh my God, I'm crazy or something like that, he'd say, cancel. Like he would not let me say those things. He's like, just be careful of the words that come out of your mouth. And I'm like, oh my God, what is he talking about? And then as I got older, I realized, oh my God, it worked. I've seen the success he's had in his life with his family, with his business, both my mother and father, they have manifested. They're immigrants from Europe and have manifested this beautiful life with their family and their business and everything. And I think that I feel so fortunate to have grown up that way. A lot of people turn to the mindfulness and that type of, and some of the books and all that, because of maybe a trauma in their life or something. There's different reasons why people turn to it. I was just born with it. It was just, my dad used to wake me up every morning and say, you're getting better and better every day in every way, Tina. And I'm like, oh my God, what a gift, what a gift.
Oh my gosh. You look at it now, like what a gift. And back then were you like, this guy's out of his mind. What is he saying?
What is he doing? Yeah, exactly.
And so you still remember it to this day, the things that he would say. Did you say that stuff to your kids?
Oh, I still say it to my kids oh my God, all the time. Yeah.
Give us some practical, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry. I'm curious, some practical things that somebody could take away listening, like that you said, that you say daily, or what do you do with your kids?
Yeah, literally, I'll wake up my kids and I'll be like, it's going to be a great day. And, you're getting better and better every day in every way. That's the other one that my dad always, every day in every way. I'm constantly, and my dad will still to this day cut out little, like prayers or affirmations or whatever and hand them to the kids, or he'll text them to the kids. And he'll say, repeat this over and over. My son's playing high school basketball. Or I'm like, don't forget your affirmations. And he's into it. They are definitely, my daughters are, it's good. It's really cool.
Yeah. And so do you see the outcome of that from doing that their whole lives? Do you see like their attitudes and their beliefs?
Yes. I know I have the most amazing kids ever. I'm sorry to brag like that, but they're so incredible. They're just happy. contributing, driven, but yet like so happy and well-rounded, and are so, they've never had drama in their lives. They just,
Uh,
there's very little drama in their life, and whenever something is not, nothing is ever absolutely perfect. Although the mantra in my life, actually all our whole family has, is everything works out perfectly for me. And we say this all the time, from my sisters to my kids to my husband and I, my parent. We're always, our mantra is everything works out perfectly for me. And I have a little, one of those little things in my kitchen that I look at every day. Everything works out perfectly for me. And what that means, and I always talk to my kids about this, is doesn't mean everything works out the way you want it to work out. It's just that you have to know it's working out perfectly for you, and that maybe there's something else that's going to be taught in the situation that maybe you didn't expect or you didn't want. But yeah, everything does work out perfectly for me. And I think I would encourage everybody to say that every day. Everything works out perfectly for me, and just believing that it's working exactly as it should.
and I love that. And just to clarify, I mean, that's not blocking emotions. That's not, because everything working out perfectly is embracing the moments when things are sad, right?
Absolutely. Yes. And I think that's where people get a little bit, confused. Like, it's not always perfect. Life isn't always perfect. And
Yeah,
that's not what I'm saying. It's like
yeah,
everything works out perfectly for me because it's perfectly the way it's supposed to happen. So
yeah. That's great.
there's something else,
That's awesome, and that goes right along with, like, the whole idea of life happening for you, not to you, right? And that's amazing, man. I love hearing this. I had no idea that the gut health expert, we were going to go down this route in the beginning, but I love it. I love it. I love it.
I was so excited to talk to you, Justin, because I think this is what I'm going to do in my next life is, just do something similar to what you're doing. In fact, my whole family, my nephews, my nieces, my kids, and my sisters, we want to do a family podcast because we're like, this is exactly what we love to talk about all the time. So,
Oh my God, that's awesome. I know some podcasters, but if you ever need any tips or anything to get started, let me know. Reach out. I can give you all the ins and outs that I learned.
yeah, I appreciate that. Of
Yeah.
course, I appreciate that.
Yeah, we can call it like the Anderson family's mantras podcast or something.
Whole bunch, exactly.
That's great. I love that. I'm gonna start. I got to start doing more of that. I try to tell my kids that I believe in you. Anything you want to do in life, you just have to put your work in and believe in, and you can make it happen. You have unlimited potential.
Yep.
All those kind of things I try to repeat to them, even they're only 4 and 1, but I
Yeah,
still
no.
do it.
And I think too, when you have smaller kids, the other thing is, which I was not good at when my kids were little, is just not being so focused on, the grades and are they writing? Are they reading? Are they doing this? It's like, I'm telling you, I mean, I have kids at all different levels that were all at different levels. And now that they've gotten older and they're, 2 are adults and one's almost an adult, it all evens out. It all comes together. The biggest thing to do is love your kids for where they're at in their life at that moment. And that to me is just the most important thing, and not to get caught up on all that stuff with school, because it causes stress, and kids have enough stress in their lives and we don't want that stress. And I just think my son he had worked so hard his freshman year of high school. I mean, oh my God, I've never seen a kid work so hard. And the grades didn't reflect that. And I ended up getting him this crazy, outrageous gift for Christmas that he was blown away at. And he's like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. And I was like, you know what? That was just to let you know, and which I'm not saying that's a good idea for me to do that, but we go a little crazy at Christmas time. We're very romantic about Christmas in this household. But I gave him that. I said, you know what? I wanted to just let you know how proud we were, how hard you worked. And the grades are not important to me. What's important to me is that you worked so hard, because that is a lesson in life that you will, that it's such an important lesson in life. So
Rewarding the effort.
yes, rewarding the effort. Because if you know how to work hard, let me
Yeah.
tell you, you can do anything in this world.
Yeah. And that's actually, I love that, because, even though he worked his tail off, but I don't want to say he failed, right? But he didn't, okay, let me give an example. So you can work really hard at something and then fail at it, but
Yep.
that's okay. Fail because you learned something, right? We're either winning or we're learning is the whole philosophy. But by rewarding that effort, it says to him, hey, it's okay not to get those straight A's, but it's not okay not to try.
That's right. Absolutely.
Is that what we're saying here?
Exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, because it wasn't a failure. And even if it was, you're right. You know, you learn something from every failure. But
Right.
no, it wasn't a failure. It just wasn't, for the amount of work and effort he put into it.
Yeah.
It was, you know, and I wasn't like making excuses. Like, he did have really hard teachers, but it wasn't excuses about that. It was like, it was just more about, you're killing it by working so hard, and I'm so darn proud of you, and
Awesome.
keep it going.
That's
So
beautiful. I love that's such a good thing to hear and a fresh thing to hear. So it sounds like your family has like a no excuse policy. That sounds good.
yeah, we try not to. Yeah, we try not to. You know, no excuse.
So I have to ask, what was the present?
It was the iPhone 10 when, you know, it first came,
Okay.
right when it came out. It was like 2 or 3 years ago or whatever, 2 years ago, I think. So
Nice. So he
yeah.
was a cool kid walking around with the new iPhone. Everybody wanted to see.
Yeah, he was like the first one that got the iPhone 10. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing this. This is so irresponsible. It's just, oh my God, I don't do that. I don't like to overindulge them. He's the sweetest kid to be able, for a 17-year-old boy, he's a really sweet kid. So
That's amazing. That's amazing.
yes.
That's great. That's all. This is awesome. So I do want to, and maybe we'll go back to this kind of thing, but I'm really curious, this whole gut health thing. It's, I would say, new to me over the past few months. And I've always wanted to research and learn a little more about it. So my wife, to give a little background, my wife just started taking probiotics a month or two ago, and can't tell you exactly which one it is, but there was a strain in one of them that made her not feel good. And then this one doesn't have that strain in it. I don't know I forget what it's called.
Well,
But
it's probably, so the majority of probiotics on the market are made up of lactobacillus and bifidobacter strains.
okay.
And there's all different, or species, and then there's all different strains of those species. And so we do not use any lactobacillus or bifidobacter in our formulation. And that was very, very intentional, even though 95 or 97% of the market probably uses those strains. And the reason is sometimes those strains produce histamines. And that is probably what happened with your wife.
Mm.
They produce histamines. People have a bad, I mean, I will talk to customers and they're like, you know, probiotics don't really always work for me. And I'm like, oh, do you have a histamine intolerance? And they're like, oh my God, yeah, I do. And I'm like, well, that's probably why, because of those strains, they produce the histamine. So ours do not. Ours are a completely different approach.
And let's just go down to basics here. Like, what is the benefit? Why should people take probiotics every day?
Okay. Well, let's back up even further to talk about gut health. So gut
Okay.
health is really the single most important aspect of our overall health. It's hard to find a disease that does not stem from an imbalance in your gut.
Okay.
And it's really important for people to understand that. I mean, people look to a probiotic, or they think of gut health when they're talking about like gas and bloating, constipation, diarrhea, acid reflux, you know, other really bad gastrointestinal issues. Of course, those things relate to an imbalance in your gut health. That's pretty, you know, everybody would know that. But people don't think about it as skin health. People don't think about, you know, oh, I have a rash on my skin. Oh, well, that's a total, or acne. Anything on your skin is directly related to an imbalance in your gut. Same thing with like anxiety, depression. There's a huge vagus nerve. It's called the vagus nerve. It's a communication superhighway between your gut and your brain. So people who are experiencing anxiety and depression they generally have an imbalance in the gut. Autoimmune issues, that is completely a cause of, that's caused by leaky gut, which is caused by an imbalance in your gut. Heart disease, cancer, diabetes, all of those diseases, Alzheimer's, are all related to LPS toxins seeping into your bloodstream, which is a result of a leaky gut. So everybody should be taking a probiotic, and especially kids, because our gut is being attacked on a daily basis. So we know that antibiotics are good, they kill off the good bacteria or the bad bacteria, but they're also killing off the good bacteria. So not only do we take antibiotics when we're sick or we need to, but we're getting them in our food supply. I mean, they're in our, meats are, filled with antibiotics. Our food has antibiotics in it. Then we talk about all of our like produce that's loaded with, our non-organic produce that's loaded with glyphosate, which is glyphosate is the active ingredient in Roundup. So environmental toxins, stress, sugar, all of these things are impacting our gut every day. And so when our gut is imbalanced, it creates havoc for our overall health. And kids these days have been brought up, in such a toxic world. When I was a kid, and obviously I'm much older than you are, but when I was a kid, I didn't know anybody that had a food allergy. It wasn't until sixth grade, actually, I remember one kid having a food allergy. It's like now everybody has food. So many kids have food allergies. It's like, and there's so many more kids that are on the autism spectrum, and all of this is related to our imbalance in our gut. So I feel like kids is the most important population to be taking it, but everyone else should be taking it because our gut is being attacked on a daily basis. So it's really, really important that we focus on our gut health. And how we do that, unfortunately, the probiotics that have been on the market for many years, they've been around and they were based on the old science, what we used to know. About 10 years ago, the Human Microbiome Project came out with the Human Microbiome Project was launched by the National Institutes of Health. And it was the largest study ever done on gut health. And it told us more about the gut than we ever knew before. And the strains in our product, Just Thrive, are based on this new understanding. Although these strains have been around for, they've been used in Asia and Europe for 60 years. They've been around, and our ancestors used to get these strains from the soil. We're the first company to bring them to the US supplement market. So I would just encourage everybody to focus on gut health by being mindful. It's really important that you're mindful when you're trying to take care of your gut health by practicing daily meditation, doing other things that calm you down, even if it's changing your lifestyle altogether. Being mindful is really important. I talked about that vagus nerve, that nerve that's between your gut and your brain. They both impact each other. So if you're calmer, it could help your gut. And then if your gut is healthy, it'll help calm your mind. So it goes both ways. Staying away from sugar, staying away from alcohol that has a lot of sugar in it. And then taking a high quality probiotic. And a spore-based probiotic is what we consider our strains. They're spore-based, and there's a whole reason behind that too. The spore-based actually allows the strains to survive. So the big myth out there about probiotics is that, in order to be a good probiotic, it needs to be refrigerated. And the reason behind that myth is because people will say, if it needs to be refrigerated, that means it's a live microorganism. Well, it's not required to be alive in the refrigerator. It needs to be alive when it's in your gut, in your intestines. Well, most probiotics that are in the refrigerator can't even withstand the room temperature of the store shelf. So how in the world will they survive your body temperature, which is 98.6? And the answer is they're not. And then even if they did, what happens when they get to the stomach and the stomach acid? They call it the gastric barrier. And the answer is they're not surviving. The strains in Just Thrive have this endospore shell around itself. And we've done nothing to entericoat them. These are the same strains that were found in nature. And they have this armor-like shell around it. And when you swallow it, it's dormant. It's not until it hits the intestines that it takes the shell off, and that's when it becomes alive. And that's why it's so effective.
Wow. And okay. And this is when we take these, it's adding, what exactly?
Oh, yeah.
And when you say gut, you're saying large intestine, small intestine, right?
Yep, exactly.
So I know a lot of meditations, guided meditations that I do on a daily basis, a lot of them, they stop at the gut. And they say that's where a lot of our emotions and anxiety are held to then concentrate on that. So that's really interesting that you say that.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that was because of our gut health, that a lot of that is where that lies. And then the connection between the brain and the gut is really cool, that whole mind body thing. And every time that comes up, I love that. So I'll go back to, so what exactly is it like releasing? Like, what is it putting into our gut?
Yeah, great question. So what it's doing, it goes in there and it reads the microbial environment. So it's reading the gut. So it's going to do something very different in your gut than it does in my gut. what it does to your kids' guts, what it does to my kids' gut. It's going to read the microbial environment, and it's going to recognize pathogenic bacteria, so bad bacteria. And it actually produces like antibiotic compounds to actually kill off pathogens. And then it also goes in and creates compounds and nutrients to bring the good bacteria back to life. And so it's not really like it's not like we're going in and killing all the bad bacteria. The important thing is to get balance in the gut. We need a good balance in the gut where the good bacteria is outnumbering the bad bacteria. So the best way to explain it is that if you envision a garden, and the garden has been stepped on and trampled on and there's weeds growing all over that garden, and you analogize that to your gut, and our strains go into that garden and they actually attach to the soil. So if you compare that to your gut, it attaches to the intestinal cell wall. Then it goes into that garden and it gets rid of the weeds. So it's getting rid of the pathogenic bacteria. And then it goes in and takes those plants that have been stepped on and trampled on and brings them back to life. So it goes into your gut and takes your own bacteria that already belongs to you and helps it come back to life and thrive. And so it's not going in there and planting a plant, which is what a lot of other probiotics they'll say reseeding the gut. They're going to go into that garden that's all messed up and they may plant a few plants, which may make it look a little bit prettier, but it's not really making it doesn't make it look great. It's not getting rid of the weeds. Ours goes in there and actually gets rid of the bad bacteria and brings your own bacteria back to life. That's really important. And this is how you find true change in the gut, is by having a balanced microbiome, a balanced gut.
Wow. That, just listening to you, you can tell like how passionate you are about this.
Yeah.
And even for as long as you've been doing it, I can tell you just want to get this out to as many people as possible and tell them. And I knew that when I sat down with you 2 years ago and a year and a half ago and met you. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate what you're doing. I admittedly do not take probiotics because there's so much cross information out there. Like, take this one, don't do this one. This one has this one. And so I'm just like, I'm not even going to take the wrong thing or chance taking the right thing. So I follow this guy, Aubrey Marcus. He owns On It, the company. Are you familiar with him? He is, I was listening to a random one of his podcasts and he said, I don't know why everybody doesn't take probiotics. I mean, like literally, if I can give you one piece of advice, put those in your body. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm starting, these people, and then now talking to you and so what does it do? Like what are the benefits compared to somebody that doesn't take probiotics, like possible benefits? Yeah.
Right. Okay. But before I answer that, because I'm going to definitely answer that, I just want, when you're like, I don't know which one to take, I don't know which one to take, it's a very legitimate concern. And the thing is, we felt the same way. And so one of our big things is we don't do anything that's not based on research and science. I mean, we have decided to like raise the bar in the supplement world by demanding double-blind human clinical trials. We have a double-blind human clinical trial on our formulation on leaky gut, showing that leaky gut is basically toxins in your gut that seep into your bloodstream, which is the number one driver for almost every disease out there. So we have a double-blind human clinical trial showing that these strains are reducing the toxic response by 42%, and that was only over 30 days. So this is profound. This was a published study, which is also crazy that we have a published study. We have, we have probably 12 different clinical trials going on right now. So we are focused on research. So unfortunately, you don't see that in the supplement world that often. So I always say, like, we won't launch anything. I mean, I'm a huge believer in vitamin C, but I wouldn't launch a vitamin C because there's lots of companies that are out there doing vitamin C really well. We are only bringing products to the market that are missing and needed so desperately by people. So I would definitely, and if you're concerned, go to the company, ask for their research. I mean, we have our leaky gut study like right on our website. It's really, if you just search for it, you could find it on there. So really important that you go with a product that is researched, and everything we do is backed by science and backed by research. So the other thing you were asking about the benefits. Oh, did you have a question?
No, I was going to say I just reminded myself I have a bottle of with your new label and everything on my desk upstairs. I should probably open it up now and start taking it.
You got to start. So what you'll notice, okay, so it all depends on you I
figured that.
the biggest benefit for everybody, no matter what you're trying to deal with or work with, whether it's maintenance, because it's good for you, like you take a multivitamin, is that this is going to be so great for your immune system. 80% of your immune system is found in the tissue in your gut lining. And so we have got to take care of our immune system. So people don't realize that. So it's like, you have got to, if you want to, stay healthy and try to, combat all the crazy colds and flus going on and all that, you need to focus on your gut health. So it's a wonderful for your immune system. And obviously, especially for kids, because, they're always getting sick all the time. And I'm not suggesting that you're never going to get sick on it. Of course, it's just that it is going to strengthen your immune, or, support your immune system dramatically. So the other thing is, like, if somebody is experiencing some gastrointestinal discomfort, sometimes within a week, sometimes within 3 days, sometimes 2 weeks, they will feel noticeable difference, whether it's less gas and bloating, more regularity, that kind of thing, and just ease from some of those gastrointestinal symptoms. If you are not, some people have reported, better weight management, because it's the gut bacteria that actually dictates how you burn fat and your metabolism, all that kind of stuff. And in the balance of it, there's two types of bacteria called Bacteroides and Firmicutes. If you have more Firmicutes, oh my God, I can't even say it today.
Yes.
If you have, you're one of those people that could look at a cupcake and gain 10 pounds. If you have more Bacteroides, then you could like eat 10 cupcakes and not gain anything. So it helps balance those too. So people have had better weight management with the product. And the really cool thing about our product is that we have a strain in there called Bacillus indicus HU36. That strain is so incredible because it actually produces carotenoids right inside the intestine. So it starts to, in addition to being this like super powerful probiotic, it actually produces alpha and beta carotene, lycopene, lutein, astaxanthin, zeaxanthin, CoQ10. All of these incredible carotenoids are being produced in the intestines exactly where they need to be absorbed. So just like probiotics, most probiotics on the market have trouble getting through the gastric system. Other, nutrients also have trouble getting through the gastric system, but these carotenoids in our strain actually is produced when it gets to the intestine. So really, really great strain. So in fact, the researchers believe that HU36 strain is the key factor in the success with the leaky gut study. So.
Wow. So a lot of those words are above my pay grade.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's totally, but what the cool part about it is, is you made total sense. Like I understand what you're saying, and I can, we can definitely follow along with the importance of it and what it does. And I'm guessing all that equals more energy too, right?
Yeah, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't say that. Yeah, I just had somebody that, I give this to everybody that I love. My parents are on it, my in-laws are on it, my kids.
What age to start it? What age can you start your kids on this?
On the bottle it says 3 and above, but that's really more for choking hazards. And that's the best part about this is you could actually open the capsules and mix it with food or drink, and it's tasteless, colorless, odorless. They wouldn't know it's there. You could actually bake with these strains. That's how robust they are. So you could put it in a batch of cookies and that are gluten-free and all that kind of stuff, but healthy cookies. But I used to put it in my son's piping hot oatmeal all the time. It's remained
interesting. Look at that.
So, but definitely it's important to get the kids on it, even if they're younger than 3, just maybe a half a capsule. So.
Wow. Yeah. And obviously all these clinical studies cost money, right?
Yeah. Yep. They cost a lot of money. Yeah. They cost a lot of money. That's where we put our resources towards is, studies. So
good for you guys.
Yeah.
It just shows you care, that's just, you're putting into the part that is going to be best for the customer.
That's right. Exactly. Right. And I don't want to take something that's not clinically studied. I want to make sure that this is truly something, and I don't want to give it to, my family and my parents, everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really
what's really cool? What's for me, that coming from that industry, if you remember going to that mastermind and stuff like that, there's a lot of people that just slap something together and put it out in the market. Yep. Sorry, you can probably hear my kids a little bit in the background.
Love it. Music don't have to apologize that to me.
Yeah, my 1.5-year-old is beautiful and love him. He is absolutely insane. So
I love it.
I just got to. Yeah, I cherish. So, a lot of. So I I'm going to be completely truthful. I knew you guys put out a good product, but I did not realize how much you cared and how good you actually have. And, I know Jesse well now and Clay, who work with you, who are just great humans to begin with. I brought my wife to meet them, and they just kicked it off
Yeah.
like two peas in a pod, peanut butter and jelly. I mean, they loved each other. It was great. We had a good conversation. So
Oh
you
my
got
God.
you totally have good company. And two things. Number
By the
one,
way, I just want to say I
yeah,
totally agree. They're amazing. I'm so blessed. I cannot tell you how blessed I am. And we have so much, not only do we work together, we have so much fun together. I mean, my husband
that's
and I
awesome.
are like, we have so much fun. It's with, Jesse and, it's awesome. So it's great.
That's awesome. So you said, I think what's really cool about the probiotics in your gut is that it boosts your immune system. So there's studies proven, I don't know who did it, Harvard, whatever, that meditation, okay, improves your immune system. You get sick less. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm in a daily meditator, and for a year or so now, and I totally can tell, like, my whole family will be sick and I won't get sick.
Yeah.
And so it's just the way it works. And I think now talking to you, I think a lot has to do because of the brain and gut connection.
It
Um,
totally has to do with it.
you're
That you're
feeding it
absolutely right. Yeah.
less stress, calming, and that totally makes sense. And if you can add eating or healthier and taking a probiotic on top of that, you're only just adding on to
Yeah.
to that. And yeah, that's I love that. I'm so glad I'm talking to you about this.
That's like people say, like, trust your gut. I mean, there's
uh,
truth to that. Listen
yeah.
to your gut. There's a lot of truth to that.
How do we know if we have leaky gut? Like, how do we know if we?
Yeah, it's a great question. If you absolutely want to know, there's a blood test you could take or get, and they will measure your LPS, which stands for lipopolysaccharides. It's not important, but LPS toxins in your bloodstream. However, that test is not readily available. You can't go to Quest and be like, I want to test my LPS. I mean, you probably have to go, I don't know. I've never had it done. But the thing is, the study that we did, this was really interesting. The study that we did was on 100 college students. Okay. Of those 100 college students, they tested them to see if they had a leaky gut. 55% of them had a leaky gut and didn't know it. So
Oh,
most people, like, the way you would know you had a leaky gut is if you have food allergies, food sensitivities, autoimmune disease. I mean, you pretty much 100% have a leaky gut. But what they're estimating now is, I mean, those college students they were not on any medication. They had no, disease or illness that they knew of. And then they did this test, and 55% of them actually had a leaky gut. So they estimate that 80% of the adult population has a leaky gut and doesn't even know it. And it makes sense because all of these toxins that we're talking about, like the antibiotics and the environmental toxins and mold and all these things, are literally creating these holes in the intestinal wall. And that's how those toxins are seeping into the bloodstream. So the biggest thing is, I would just assume that you have one, and then and the thing is, like, even when you're taking this, there's so many other reasons to take it other than just because you have a leaky gut. It's
yeah.
to your immune system, to support your skin health, to support weight management, to support your mental health. I mean, all of those reasons. It's not like a pharmaceutical where you take it to help with one thing and then you have all these crazy side effects, like, suicidal thoughts and this and that. This is like, you may be taking it because you have gastrointestinal discomfort, but even if it's not helping you with that, which, I mean, of course it will, but it's like, let's say it's not, and it's so good for you anyway, because it's great for your immune system. It's great for your skin health. It's great for all other, your mental health,
Hmm.
all of those things. So it's really important.
That's beautiful. I'm a big advocate of the prevention method
Yep.
rather than constantly just treating the issue at hand with a pill or with surgery or whatever. I'm a big proponent and pusher of trying the prevention method stuff first to see if it can have an effect and being able to treat things in a different way. So I'm right on board with you on that.
Absolutely. Good for
Uh,
you. Great.
and I try to preach that. I try to talk, I not preach, but I try to talk about that in my podcast. So when people listen, they can understand that, and I think the blockage there is just, it's the easier path to just treat the thing, but that's short-term
Yeah.
gain. If you want to have the long-term results, I think I know it's the prevention stuff we have to focus on. So what else can we do to improve our gut on top of taking a probiotic? What else? I know meditation, but what kind of foods should we be eating? And can the sun affect? I mean, what else?
Yeah. Well, definitely sleep. We got to make sure we
Okay.
sleep. I mean, which goes with everything. I
Right.
mean, sleep is paramount. I mean, I am just a huge fan of sleep. And the thing is, there's really no great sources of food for probiotics. That's the only thing like that. Like we have a prebiotic on it's part of one of our product lines, which is amazing in its own right. And that's a whole other episode. But prebiotics you could get from foods. You could get prebiotic foods. You'd have to eat a lot of them to get the same amount that you
Uh-huh.
get in a prebiotic. But I mean, you could get prebiotics in foods. But these spore-based probiotics we're not getting from foods because our ancestors got them when we ate off the soil. Like we make we farm and you get the soil on the food and you get those strains. We don't have our soil so depleted. We don't have these strains anymore. So, and people look to like yogurt and, Greek yogurts and different kimchi and kombucha and all those types of things as probiotics. And they have the same live bacteria that we talked about, or those ones in the refrigerator, but they're going to die too. Now, the difference with those is those are ferment. You're going to get the ferment benefit, and that's excellent. I mean, it's excellent to get. I eat fermented foods all the time, and I'm a huge believer in them, but they're not a replacement for a probiotic. And that's really hard for people to understand because we've been trained like, yogurt has it, or my sauerkraut. I mean, I get a lot of probiotics from my sauerkraut, and the sauerkraut is amazing for you, and all of that. For the ferment is great for you. You're all these you're very nutrient dense food, but you're not getting true probiotics that are actually shifting the balance in the gut. So, but to do other things for your gut health, I mean, still eating those fermented foods would be helpful. Just getting sleeps, avoiding sugar, avoiding stress, and just like you said, being mindful and doing meditation. And even if that means, like I said, dramatically changing your lifestyle. I mean, I myself was, I was so stressed building the business, working crazy hours, a mother of 3 children, never missing one of their, basketball games or swim meets or anything. And then, you burn yourself out. And like, I hired Jesse, and it was like, I always tell him he gave me my health, even, gave me so much of my health even
Wow.
because I'm like, I had to change my lifestyle. I needed somebody else to step in and take over what Billy and I, my husband and I, were building. We needed to have somebody else come in and do a lot of the stuff, that we couldn't do it all. We could not, and
What
especially
made you Yeah, what made you finally make that decision to hire somebody? So thinking that, I don't have to do all of this. How did you get to that point?
yeah. Well, the one thing is we hired somebody first, and I saw what happened when we first hired our first employee, just to take a little bit off my plate. And it was like, oh my God, our business exploded. I mean, because it allowed me to grow the business. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do as the CEO or the co-founder. It's like, you're supposed to be out there growing the business. And I was in the business too much. Just seeing how I hired her and it made that change, it was incredible. So then, but now I wanted to bring somebody on that had a more of an executive background, more of a leadership role in the company. And so it was a no-brainer. I mean, especially like Jesse and I connected immediately. It's been so awesome. I mean, we just have a blast together.
Sweet, sweet. That's awesome. How do you, I want to go to we've talked a lot about gut health and all that. I wanted to go back to the beginning when I said I wanted to ask you about how you manage your team. So I'm
Yeah.
curious about that. You said that because I can tell you're so proud of them. You have a good culture. Is it, you guys have a local office or do you work remote?
We're 90% remote. We have
Okay.
2 people in the office that do, that handle some of our, office stuff and all of that. But most of the team is remote. So we have 14 people, and only 2 people are in the office.
Okay. So are they weekly calls on Skype? I mean, what do you do to stay in touch with everybody? I'm
We have
curious.
weekly calls on Skype. We, obviously connect on Slack every day, all day. And our whole team is so passionate. I mean, that's the thing. They research the science. They're so into the science. They are just naturally passionate about health and wellness, and they were already educated. And so when we hire people, we hire for culture first. I mean, that is it. Like, you need to be, like you're collaborative, you're focused on health and wellness, you're just a great person to work with. And that is the most important thing for us when we hire. Of course, skill is super important too. And in an ideal world, we hire for both. But the most important thing that we hire for is culture. And it just shows. I mean, we have so much fun. We had a team retreat in August. And I mean, we were all so sad when it was over. And I plan on doing it every year. And I'm like, no, we got to do it every 6 months. Cause this is like, we had so much fun together, and I think we're all kind of different too. We're not all the same people. We come from very different age groups, and, but yet we have a great time together, and just, I don't know. I'm just so grateful for them. And I also feel like I've hired people. One of my mantras has just been to like hire people that are smarter than me, or hire people that have a skill set that are, I mean, I'm smart in my own right, I guess, but just people that have a skill set that I don't have, that are better at that than I am, and so that they could contribute. And I try not to micromanage. Jesse may say sometimes I do, but I try not to micromanage.
Sometimes.
And it just, let them do their thing. And
Okay.
I just, trust is the biggest. I mean, trust is such a huge thing. I mean, we work remote. I just trust people doing an amazing job. I mean, we had a big Black Friday sale, and it's like they're all like over Thanksgiving, like going on Slack, texting each other. And I'm like, stop, you need to take time off. But they just are so passionate about it. And it's just
That's
awesome.
cool. So I mean, if you have to tell your team to take time off because they're so passionate, you've definitely hired correctly. You've created the culture. I want people to listen to what she said when she first talked, was about hiring culture. Or hiring based around people and their, I guess you could almost say it's like their beliefs and the way that they think, and that's what it starts with, because you could teach skills, right?
Yep.
Like you said. And then you said the second thing you said was hiring people that are better at the things that you're weak at. That takes real awareness, right, on your part, to look yourself, drop your ego, drop your, CEO, head honcho kind of feeling for a while, and say, okay, here is what I know I'm good at. Here's what I know I'm right. Well, I mean, I don't know what your process was, but you can say it if you want. And then here's what I know I'm okay at, and here's what I'm not really good at, and then hire based on those pillars.
Exactly. No, and what's so cool is I feel like now people like, Jesse is hiring people like that are working with him the same exact way, like he's like, oh, I got to hire people that know this particular thing better, PPC or marketing or whatever, like that maybe have even more experience than he already has.
Wow.
And now we create this amazing team, and we're like, we want the best of the best out there. And because we want the word out there, my goal is to have 1 million people on this in the next 2 years. I mean, I want so many people on this product, just because I see what it's done for my own family. I mean, everybody that I know and love in my life, is on this product. It's like, just because, I mean, my priest, our church, I mean, the biggest supporters, so funny, my neighborhood, I mean, everybody, it's funny. So yeah.
I think you just gained another customer. So there you go.
Okay.
It took you an hour to sell me, but I'm sold.
Okay. I just want you to be healthy. You are really healthy. You are, but like you said, it's prevention. I mean, and if there's one, I've heard so many, like you had mentioned that it was Aubrey. Is it Aubrey Marcus?
Yeah.
He had said that, and I've heard so many health gurus say, like, if I were like stranded on a desert island, what supplements would I take? What 3 supplements? And it was always a probiotic was always included, because they know that gut health is responsible for virtually every single aspect of our overall health.
Wow. And I also pretty sure I'm correct when I say this, that another supplement that we can't, or vitamin that we can't produce, is B12. We don't produce anymore, right? Yeah. So that's another thing we definitely should be taking.
Absolutely. Take that. Yeah. No, it's one I take too. So
what else do you take? Do you take anything else?
I take our probiotic, our prebiotic, our IgG, which is an immunoglobulin, which is incredible for immune health. It basically goes in and it binds and neutralizes the toxins and helps your body safely remove them. IgG is, I never thought anybody would even know about IgG, and we've sold out twice now. I mean, it's like people are buying it like crazy because—
Is that the stuff in turmeric?
No,
What
no,
is
it's
active
IgG is basically a immunoglobulin. It's like an antibody. We have IgG naturally in our system. So this is more to help bind and neutralize these toxins. And then we have vitamin K27, which vitamin K27, another super important nutrient. I take that with D3. So vitamin K2's role in the body is to remove calcium from the like arteries, like your heart, where you don't want it, and put it into your bone. It is such an important nutrient, and not a lot of people know about. It is so important. I always say it could save lives. Like your gut health is important, for your everyday, to prevent and to help, support all aspects of your overall health. But vitamin K27, literally, its role in the body is to remove calcium from your arteries and put it into the bone. So really important for heart health, bone health. I take vitamin D, like I said. What else do I take? A B complex vitamin. And then depending on what's going on, I'll take like ashwagandha if I'm like super stressed out, just to like calm down. Or what else do I take? Vitamin C. Did I say vitamin C?
Yeah.
Super important nutrient, vitamin C.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
about
yeah, those like anytime what's that? Sorry, I'm sorry.
magnesium. How can I forget? Magnesium is so important. So
Oh, magnesium. Okay.
90% of the adult population is deficient in magnesium. And our vitamin K27 actually has some magnesium in there, but I also take more magnesium.
Wow. I need to up my supplement game.
Yeah. I mean, of course, it's always best to get your nutrients from food. I mean, always. The problem is we have to eat a lot of these foods, that are high in these different vitamins in order to get to it. And I don't want to take the chance of missing out on it. But of course, it's best to get it from food. Always better to get it from food.
You know what I do take? Maybe, I mean, you're an expert, right? So or you at least know a lot of this stuff. I do take the Vega all-in-one shake. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I've heard. Yes, I've definitely seen it and heard of it. I'm not familiar with what's in it though.
Okay. I mean, they have probiotics and all that stuff in it. I don't know what strains. I don't know what it is. I'm sure it's not the highest quality. It is all plant-based, and there's a bunch of stuff in it. Just wondering.
I'm sure it's great. I'm sure it's great.
It's probably better than not doing it, right?
Absolutely, Justin. I mean, I know, like I mean, as long as you've researched it enough to like where there's a lot of junk out there. I know, but Vega is not that. I mean, it's good. I mean, there's so many great products out there that as long as you're doing something to get, get these nutrients that are missing in our diet.
Yeah,
it's
that's
really
great.
Cool. I mean, we gotta start taking. People are like, oh my god, it's not normal that we take all these supplements. I don't know. I feel like we're not getting the nutrients, and look at how sick everybody is. It's like, look at how it's.
Well, we don't. We only have a few more minutes here, but I have a question I want to end with. But when you say that, it makes sense because look, we're not that far off from living outdoors like 90% of the day, like as humans. If you go back a couple hundred years, we're not that far off from. I mean, no, we never had TVs and computer screens constantly in our faces. We were out in nature more. We woke up when the sun came up. We went to bed when the sun came down. So we were getting our vitamin D because we were outside. And we were getting our blue light and all these different, and obviously now most of the food's processed, full of sugar. So that makes sense that you need supplements because society has evolved faster than our bodies have been able to.
Yeah.
In the long short of things, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's really interesting, and I definitely need to add some more to my personal. But I want to ask you, and I hope it's not just take a probiotic, but if you could go back to your 18-year-old self, and heck, your kids are real close to that age, so this is an interesting question.
Older than that, Justin. They're older. 22 and a 21-year-old.
Yeah, so. They're still close to that age. They're just on the other end of it. If you could go back and talk to your 18-year-old self and say something or give it 3 pages to read of advice and wisdom, what would you tell that person?
Yeah. Oh God, I know. I don't know if I know exactly, but I just know that when I was 18 and, I was like on top of the world. Like I did well in school. I went to law school. I did, and I just thought I knew it all. And I thought I could I think I had a little bit of an ego back then. And I was so worried about all of that, other stuff that wasn't important. So I would just say to tell people to just be loving to everybody, to accept everybody for who they are, and know that when somebody does something not kind to you, that it is not a reflection of you. It's just something that they're struggling with internally, and just to be more accepting and loving of everybody around you. And, I think that that's a really important, not just to remember that things that people do to you are not to you. It has nothing to do with you. It always has to do with whatever's going on with them. I think that's the most important thing that, I would try to tell my 18-year-old self.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Thanks for being
Yeah.
vulnerable and saying that. That was good.
Yeah.
Uh, well, I love it. This was fun,
It was
Tina. I'm so glad. CEO of Just Thrive, telling it how it is, mindfulness, probiotics, I mean, gut health, and all this stuff, and family. This was really cool. I appreciate it. We touched a lot of stuff today. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for having this platform, Justin. I mean, it's great for people to live a more mindful life.
Yeah, I appreciate that.